Chapter 210, Leveling Up Again. At noon on Tuesday, Zhu Tui continued to skip his combat training classes and headed straight for the Neurology Research Center for training. The originally relaxed time became a little tense with the addition of the muscle reaction speed training. Half an hour of nerve reaction speed training, half an hour of muscle reaction speed training, and an hour of segmented nerve reaction stimulation testing. This was an experiment that Zhu Tui had carried out in order to find a way to locate the 9th reaction type genetic base point. The Wuxia Genetic Evolution College had awarded the newly discovered 8th genetic base point with 2 million cash and 3,000 contribution points. The Wuxia Genetic Committee had also awarded 3 million cash and 5,000 contribution points. In addition, through the long-term authorization agreed upon by Luo Shifeng and the Wuxia Genetic Committee, Zhu Tui set the price of 2 contribution points for the students who wanted to obtain the 8th genetic base point. Zhu Tui would be able to get 1 contribution point after splitting the profits with the Wuxia Genetic Committee. 1 contribution point seemed very little. However, if there were enough people, the number would be astonishing. Currently, there were as many as 300 million genetic newcomers who had been certified as Level F genetic liberators in the Wuxia sector. Although most of them were stuck at Level F genetic liberators for the rest of their lives and less than 10% of them were truly active in cultivation, there were also about 30 million of them. Among the 30 million cultivators, Zhu Tui did not need all of them. He only needed 0.1% of them to be interested in the 8th genetic base point that he had just discovered. That would allow him to obtain a considerable amount of contribution points. Of course, this required time to accumulate. Zhu Tui had not told Luo Shifeng about the 9th reaction type genetic base point. However, he did not intend to hide it. He was prepared to tell Luo Shifeng when the time was right. Otherwise, even if he managed to find a way to locate the 9th reaction type genetic base point, he would still need a lot of time and effort to achieve results that others could reproduce. The details had to be sorted out, the discussion had to be written, and every word had to be deliberated. The volunteers had to search, research, and test their safety. These steps were extremely laborious. If Zhu Tui had to do it himself, he might not even be able to complete it in a month. However, Luo Shifeng had an experienced research team and resources on his side. Working with Luo Shifeng in this area was Zhu Tui's best choice. The moment the alarm clock rang at 6, Zhu Tui ended his training on time and prepared to leave. But the way he left was a little ugly. Zhu Tui had undergone muscle reaction speed training for his head and neck muscles yesterday. He felt as if his head and neck had been whipped thousands of times. It was not heavy, it was very light. However, after accumulating thousands of times, it was very fatal. Some parts of his body had yet to recover. Today was the training for his limbs. He felt extremely bad the moment he landed. Especially when his hands were in the air, he was practically possessed by Tang Ting's hand speed. His hands trembled irregularly. It was no wonder that it was a 4-day cycle. This muscle reaction state required 3 to 4 days to recover before the next wave of training. But it was just the first few rounds of training that was harder. After a few rounds of training, his muscle reaction strength would increase, and it would not be as painful. Zhu Tui went straight to the cafeteria after leaving the Neurology Research Center. He had to continue working as a delivery waiter for Zhao Soxui every day. Otherwise, he would have let down Zhao Soxui for taking off from the capital in the middle of the night and flying for 3 hours to the international waters to pick up Zhu Tui. He got on the eco-friendly bicycle. Due to the trembling of his limbs, the bicycle was moving at a rapid pace. Everyone who saw this scene could not help but have a question. Was the bicycle abnormal? Or was the rider abnormal? Along the way, many students who saw this scene were also extremely curious about the person who could ride a bicycle out of the trembling posture. This operation was too flashy. It immediately attracted the curiosity and attention of many female students. In this day and age, popularity was the king. The attention of others was a resource. However, as a small celebrity in the first year of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College, Flying Sword Warrior Zhu Tui was already prepared. The teachers in the school had already given Zhu Tui a perfect demonstration in this aspect. Mr. Wen Xiao's fisherman's hat and Miss Zhao Xu's blue mask were a perfect match. It perfectly concealed the fact that Zhu Tui's handsomeness had decreased and that he was riding in an extremely flirtatious manner. When he arrived at the restaurant, Zhu Tui wolfed down the food as usual. He had developed the habit of eating quickly when he was in high school. He had yet to change it. While he was eating, his personal communication device suddenly beeped. "Hello, Citizen Zhu Tui. You have to receive 1 million yuan from the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College's financial account. Note, Research Reward Fund. Hello, Citizen Zhu Tui. You have received 1,500 contribution points from the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. Hello, Citizen Zhu Tui. You have received 1,500,000 yuan from the Wuxia Genetic Committee's account. Note, Research Reward Fund. Hello, Citizen Zhu Tui. You have received 2,500 contribution points from the Wuxia Genetic Committee. Hello, Citizen Zhu Tui. You have accumulated more than 5,000 contribution points. You have reached the level of individual rights upgrade. Your individual rights have been upgraded from low-grade level D rights to mid-grade level D rights. Please continue to contribute to the human race and the Wuxia sector. Our people and our history will never forget your contributions." Zhu Tui was elated when he saw the 6 consecutive messages. He leveled up again. He had mid-grade level D rights. However, Zhu Tui did not have much of an opinion about this authority. To most people, the greatest benefits of the mid-grade level D rights were the reimbursement ratio and treatment of the hospital, as well as the convenience of public transportation. Zhu Tui could not enjoy these benefits at the moment. Of course, the greatest benefit to Zhu Tui was that he would be able to buy level E energy restoration elixirs at a discount of $250 in the future. He would be able to buy another 10 bottles of level E energy restoration elixirs at a discounted price every month. Although he could only save 2,500 yuan a month and it was not much, Zhu Tui still liked it. Wasn't it nice to treat Cheng Mo to a meal with that amount of money? The greatest joy came from the total of 2.5 million yuan. He felt his wallet swell again. His personal account balance had exceeded 8 million. More than 10 million should be enough to be called a tycoon, right? Zhu Tui thought happily and continued to pack 2 portions of food for Zhao Xuxui. There was a small portion of shrimp dumplings with red shrimp, a portion of stir-fried Chinese yam with white and green beans, and a portion of stir-fried beef with pepper that a Huang had ordered for Zhao Xuxui. This was a small secret that a Huang had revealed to Zhu Tui. Although Zhao Xuxui had light tastes, she would occasionally eat spicy food. Zhu Tui continued to ride his eco-friendly bicycle straight to the Genetic Research Institute. It was the fisherman's hat and the blue mask that gave Zhu Tui great courage. Unfortunately, this courage was destroyed by the Genetic Research Institute's security system. Biometric identification was necessary to enter. Zhu Tui no longer cared if he was handsome in front of Zhao Xuxui. In any case, Zhao Xuxui had seen the ugly appearance of his clone. He took off his fisherman's hat and mask. His hands trembled as he entered the research hall of Research Institute number 14. "Missin, let's eat. Guess what delicious food I brought you today?" Zhu Tui suddenly stopped before he could finish his sentence. Someone was there. There were strangers in the research hall. And it was a woman. It was a woman who was about the same height as Zhao Xuxui. Most importantly, this woman's figure was F-King hot. It was simply a sea that contained all rivers. Large. As for the butt that was wrapped in the miniskirt, Zhu Tui felt like it was a balloon that was about to explode. Under the miniskirt were 2 long legs, and it was bare. Zhu Tui did not dare to look anymore. He had seen a woman with voluptuous curves before, but this was the first time Zhu Tui had seen a beauty who could display her curves to such an extent up close. In an instant, Zhu Tui's face and ears turned red, especially when he was being stared at by a hot beauty like this. It was simply too much. Zhu Tui had the urge to retreat and start over. However, even if he were to start all over again, he would not be able to change his miserable state after being tortured. Especially the bruises on his head and neck. This is the great genius of our Research Institute number 14, Zhu Tui. The beautiful woman's sweet voice rang out, but it was no less than a thunderclap in Zhu Tui's heart. Just the word "our" made Zhu Tui react immediately. He knew the identity of this voluptuous beauty. The financial inspector sent by the Genetic Research Institute to the Research Institute number 14. No matter how stupid Zhu Tui was, he knew that this fellow was the natural enemy of the Research Institute number 14. Otherwise, and Zhao Soxui would not have allocated the additional 620,000 yuans from the Research Institute number 14 in order to guard against her. Zhu Tui, let me introduce you. Li Yuanen is the financial inspector sent by the Genetic Research Institute to our Research Institute number 14. She just arrived today. In the future, if you want to receive any supplies or declare your assets, look for me to sign first. Then, hand them over to Yuanen to handle. And Zhao Soxui, who was on the other side of the research hall, gave a brief introduction. Hello, Zhu Tui, I'm Li Yuanen. Li Yuanen took the initiative to extend her delicate hand, which was manicured, to Zhu Tui. Yes, hello. Zhu Tui only nodded. He did not shake her hand. Instead, he walked towards Zhao Soxui. Missin, let's eat first. Li Yuanen didn't get angry after being snubbed. Instead, she continued to smile. Is this considered a work meal? Do you want to eat together? And Zhao Soxui generously invited her. Li Yuanen had just approached them when Zhu Tui suddenly took out a pair of chopsticks. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were coming. I only brought a pair of chopsticks today. Li Yuanen's smile froze as she approached. A faint smile suddenly appeared on Zhao Xu's face.